All right, we are live. Yep, no worries, we'll get up. But no, we'll just get started. So thanks for everyone getting ready to click on. Welcome to the session with Spinning Yarns. Thanks, Flo, for letting me host again. And we've got an amazing brother here. I'll just introduce you, and he can tell you a bit who he is and where he's from. So we've just got Sam Marypaw having a yarn with me today. How you doing, Sam?
Very well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, I'm just to let everybody know, I'm Sam Marypaw. I'm from Bowen, North Queensland. Born, bred in Bowen, lived in Bowen all my life, and got a massive family in Bowen here and surrounding areas.
Yeah, no, that's right. And just to explain whereabouts that is, just for some fellas that may not know where it is, Sam.
Okay, mate. Okay, everybody's Bowen is we're halfway between Mackay and Townsville. And okay, if you know where Early Beach is, well, we are classed as top of the Whitsundays. So that gives everybody a bit of an idea. And I was invited by Chris and Flo and to talk about in the industry that I am in the rail industry, working for a group called Aurizon. I shared with Chris a few weeks ago that the 4th of June this year, I will have completed 38 years in my job. Now, where I work is we haul coal from all the surrounding mines, from Newlands Corridor right down to Nebo and all the surrounding areas, and cart it back to Abbott Point, which is Adani now. So so I've been involved in that, and like I say, November last year, it's actually been 37 years for me out at Pring in the diesel set. So I am the longest serving member there. I started off as a 21-year-old boy, 4th of June 1982, when they were actually carting coal from Collinsville and sending it out through the ports of Bowen, off the jetty in Bowen. So Bowen is a really big, has been in the industry for a long time, back in the steam days. When I was working there, I had an Uncle Errol Hughes that was down there. He was down there when I started my job, and then when we moved out to Pring, because the Abbott Point was being built, the township called Glendon, where the Newlands mines were. That's where we're involved with that. That's how long we've been going for.
Wow, that is a lot. I think that's probably the longest I've ever heard anyone work within the resource sector. You hear someone talking about 20, 25 years, but that amount, that's wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny, Chris, because when I started, when I started at 4th of June 82, they said, Sam, your job will only be for 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks went into 3 weeks, went into a month, went into 3 months, went to 6 months, 12 months time. They said, we might as well put you on the permanent roster. And the rest is history, so to speak. But it was been a learning curve, especially when you start off from the bottom as a labourer, as an oiler and things like that. And okay, I've worked my way up. I'm a tradesperson now. I started my apprenticeship in 1991, and I used to say to them, "So don't give me books to read. I can't read books. Give me something to fix. I'll fix it." No, you got to go away and so I went to tape and done all that, but it took me 10 years, and I completed my apprenticeship in 2001. As I say, the rest is history. I'm on the tools now. I'm a qualified tradesperson, and good experience.
No, that's awesome. No, that's heaps good. And I guess one of the questions as well, like since when you started, what was the rosters like then, and has it changed much? Or is that since?
Yeah, the rosters were pretty simple back then because we'll back this up when the Newlands corridor opened up. It was the first train, I think, run through February 1984. So, we moved out to Pring November 83. The diesel shed wasn't built. The rail line was built. The wagons were built. The locos were built. They were doing dummy runs. And I had to climb up on this old Bedford truck on a ladder to re-stencil some of the letters on the wagons with my old boss at this time. The boss is called Stan Dodd. So I was only 22, so to speak. And look,
Did
mate,
you have a harness on, Sam?
Beg your pardon, mate?
Did you have a harness on?
It's funny you say that. I was at work the other day and I got to share that. And that's right. You know, there was no, like my dress code was a Jackie House singlet,
Yeah.
bib and brace overalls, and just a cap.
Yeah.
That's my dress code.
Yeah. Yeah.
And funny, Chris, I had to get up and speak the other day because we were just awarded. See, we just received, okay, we've done 10 years of lost time injury. They say in an organisation that is unheard of.
Yeah, LTI
So,
for that, yeah.
yes. And so what I'd done, I walked into the office about 6 months ago and I said to the bosses, and because I've been in the game a long time, I just sort of say it like it is, see. I said, mate, we've had a vote down in the smoker room. We've come to consensus and we want an angled bridge. And they all looked at me and said, oh, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I said, look, I'm over T-shirts. I'm over caps. I'm over T-shirts, like anything else, or mugs. I said, we need an angled bridge. Anyway, I walked out, never said no more, and kept every day. This is the deal. Well, about 6 weeks ago, we received our angled bridge, whole 20 of us.
Ah. That's good.
And I said to him, it's like this. I said to my superiors, I said, look, if other depots see what they can achieve 10 years of lost time injuries, hopefully that'll inspire other people to do the same. I mean,
yeah,
safety is one of your core values in our workplace, and that goes for everything, whether, in what industry, and your industry will be the same. Safety is the key thing. And on my locker, we have a thing on our lockers. We took a photo and they said something that means a lot to you. And I had a photo of my 3 kids down the swimming pool.
Yep.
So they put it on a poster and put it on my locker. So every morning I walk into work, go and get my gear out of my locker. Here's a photo of my 3 kids. And it reminds you why you come to work, but also why you go home safe and why you do things safe, because you want to go home to your 3 children.
Yep.
And that's something that's highlighted in our lives and our industry.
And I guess,
yeah,
no, and that's really important. You know, they talk about the aspect, you know, in all resources industry. And I guess you've been in there for like 37, 38 years. And
yes.
What do you like at home? You know, because of the safety aspect at home. You know, are you always checking the cars, make sure they're okay, and you know how it rolls with that attitude.
Yes. Yeah. And it's funny because when I grew up, see, I was a single dad. I was a single person right up until I was 44, back in 2005, then I hooked up with a girl and my son came along in 2006. So it was funny because I sort of lived the fast life, so to speak. I partied every weekend and done everything, and I still maintained my safety, but I lived at home with mum and dad and things like that, and made sure, because we lived on a farm, made sure the tanks were full, all the mowing was done, my work was done, and then went out. Then when my kids came along, your whole life changed. Your whole life changed, and everything meant, it means a lot more. Even now, being an older dad, you really, really make sure that, yes, things are, everything, you stay focused, keep your eye on the job.
That's,
and you got to have that.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like, especially when the kids come on, you're like protective instinct kicks in, and
yes,
and especially with safety on site, I guess people get a bit shamed too, especially pulling up people in especially in a different departmental area that you might not have your primary experience in. They'll be very reluctant to say, hey, you should be wearing a harness, or you shouldn't be walking in there. You don't have a hard hat on. Fellas get shamed, but you got to develop a thick skin, especially in this industry, really quickly, because at the end of the day, you could prevent someone from being injured and not seeing their family.
It's so true, mate. And like I say, with the Aurizon, one of the key things is safety is the core value, and they preach safety, but also you've got to act safely. And if you keep them in line, mate, everybody will go home safe. And like I said, it does flow into your home place too, your home life. And if you do all them things, and like I said, we wouldn't have achieved the 10 years because by being silly, but we achieved the 10 years of lost time injuries because we've done all the right things. mate, that ticked all the boxes, so to speak. And
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is having pride in your work, having pride in your workplace.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
the biggest thing. Yeah.
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 And I guess with your and also like just the amount of experience that you have, probably one of the key things as well is what has been the participation you've seen from the start of the job to now with females in your workplace? You know, what have the numbers been, or what was it like, and how the roles varied till now?
Well, Chris, it's the biggest culture shock for all of us.
Yeah.
So when I started, like I said, in June '82, there was no females. There's none of that. Then all of a sudden now, in probably the last 10 years, we've got a lot of female drivers. One of the girls I've just come off call with, I've actually done night shift with her, and then done call out week. So we worked for 2 weeks together. A young lady called Deanne Sleeman, and she's a brilliant electrician. And mate, she was a girl that when she started, she worked at the chemist, and if she came up the hard way, as far as she had to earn her way there. Now she's got it, and then like the Western history. And then today I work with a lady called Mel Lawrence. Now her and I must give a shout out to a nephew of mine, Caleb Power. He's actually working down in Newcastle. Him and this lady, they done the apprenticeship and as a fitter, and they completed it a bit over 12 months ago. Now Caleb was working in Newcastle and just gone on to bigger and better things. And Mel's still with us. She's a mum and a partner. They live down the road with 3 kids and things like that. So women in the workplace, mate, I'm all for it. And I would love to see more Indigenous women come on board, and hopefully that they'll put their name up, especially in our organisation, especially as tradies. Nothing stopping them.
No, that's good. And what about the Indigenous numbers in your the company there? What's that like?
Okay, now when I first started, I must pay my respects to the late Uncle Connie Price. He was a fettler, and there's Uncle Granville Willie and Uncle Ray Gishu. Now, a lot of us have mentors in our lives. Now, these old men, they were navvies, and they got the job in the diesel shed. So one was an examiner, one was a TA, and things like, and one worked in the gang down the road. I'll just tell you a funny story. I get to work, and I shared it with my bosses the other day. I get to work one morning, and I can hear this singing. What the heck's that? Goes up to my smoker room, and he's this, like Uncle Connie's from Torres Strait, Uncle Ray Gish is from Torres Strait, and Uncle Graham, he's from Bowen here. They have them sing song and a pre-meeting in our smoker room at work. So I walks back down to the car, gets me video out, got me video, and videoing these 3 old men sing. And mate, it was the most amazing thing. And I shared it with my bosses at work because I said it's like this. And it's like they had a calming effect over the whole depot, these 3 old men. Like, now, these 3 old men, they passed on now. And I had to share that with my bosses the other day, and they all sort of looked at me and thinking, wow, yeah. Yeah. So these men, they played an impact in my life, and I am here today because of them. I acknowledge them 3 old men, you know, and mate, they were my role models. They were my role models. And yeah, I am here today because of them, and plus my parents. Yeah, they set you, and I think it's the way you've been brought up. If you got respect from your elders, respect from your parents, and if they teach you respect, that flows on through your workplace, through your life, and into your workplace.
Yeah, and also for those those 3 fellas, that's passed on that were there for the time in that space, people would have, obviously heard them and been around them, sensed their energy, and that story that they will say, like you're telling me, those fellas around were telling them, I'm going, hey, we had these fellas that were singing these nice songs, and they were there all the time in that lunchroom or in the crib or wherever they were, and that's another story that they can share, which is really good. Yeah.
And I was actually when Uncle Connie had his 50th wedding anniversary, and I actually got up and shared, and this is just before he passed away, Uncle Connie Price, and all his grandkids, all his grandsons come up and they said, Uncle, thank you for sharing that about our granddad. I said, mate, he was he was just a well-mannered and most calm and just amazing person. I used to sit down and listen to his stories and things that he shared with me, and like, yeah, just the culture and the knowledge that these men had. Yeah, and because they come over from the island to work in the railways, and they worked and they lived in bondwood huts. No, none of this motel room like everybody else. No, this air conditioning, but they lived in bondwood huts that was hot during the summertime and cold during the winter time. But they stuck it out. They married their wives here, and all their kids are still here today, and their grandkids. And I was so glad, and because even though I was young, but I was able to participate in part of their journey, and towards the end of their life when they retired. So I got the best of both worlds, so to speak, and now I'm able to share and with their stories to these men, and I'm able to be there for the grandsons when they're going through the hard times. They will send me a message through Facebook, and they say, "Uncle, we need to talk." And I sit down and have a talk to them, and I share with them. And I think the biggest thing today with kids is that there's no role models, and everybody says, "Oh, you're an elder now," and I sort of,
Yeah.
you forget, but you forget because if them old men are passed on, well, I'm the next generation.
Yeah.
I am the next generation, even though I don't want to. Not, I still think I'm 21. You still think they try and run around like you're 21.
No, and that's what, like, especially within industries as well. Like, we've got these older guys, you know, and in our language, the older fellows, we call them jammals. You know, so we've got all these jammals. You know, they're all sitting around, and you know, we have a laugh with one of the other blokes. I'll give a shout out to him, Timmy Walker. You know, on our side, he's been there. He was the longest serving Indigenous guy on that site, and every time he walks by, I'm like, "Hey, Jamal," and he's like, "Shut up," you know. But he's, you know, the oldest one that's been there. But we do have the older gentleman that's working on the Brahman trucks, and they just pick up this energy, knowing that they're just looking after. They mentor the young ones, and it's just an instinct, and they look after our mob when they come there. And you always look for the older ones with that more experience, and the young ones. The young ones know that, you know. So it's really good that that happens.
Yeah, but a classic example. Towards the end of last year, about 2018, I was riding my motorbike to work, doing 100k an hour, and I got vertigo. Now, if you know what vertigo is, you want to lay. And I wanted to lay the motorbike over on the highway.
Yeah.
Anyway, backed it up, got to work. Like I said to the boss, "Oh, something's wrong here." And my nephew was there, young Caleb Power. And you know what? He was so good because he came and looked. He said, "Uncle, and helped me down the stairs when I put him in the car to take me away, and done all that." And you know, that's such a blessing because here I was helping those other men that I spoke about in their days. Now I had a nephew come along. He was helping me out, and I really appreciated that because it makes you. Because I look back at him and I think, wow, and his dad, a young Reynold Power, his mate brought him up well, and I'm lucky with the organisation. I work in the diesel set, but over in what they call operations, where we have train drivers, and so they have shunters over there. Well, I've got cousins over there working in, you know, so there's blokes like Dennis Chasso, Reynold Power. He nicknamed RG, Rocco Ives. He's a driver. RG's a shunter. Dennis is a shunter, and the other cousin Kelvin Hughes that are drivers. And it's so good to see all these boys come into the industry as Indigenous people, and it's good to see now because there's more and more of them coming up. And young Kelvin Hughes, well, all of his nephews and nieces are out at Cloncurry becoming train drivers through out in the Curry. They go at the Phosphate Hill and all them sort of places. So there's more and more Indigenous people coming into the industry, and I love it. And they're not just staying out in the tracks doing hard manual labour. They're actually coming up becoming train drivers, and so it's a credit.
Yeah, that's good. No, love that, love that. And I guess the other thing I was asking is, you know, we touched based on it. You know, when I was talking to you just before, is, you know, with your kids and, you know, doing these rosters with your work, how do you balance, and how does that work for you?
Well, okay, when I first started, and as a single dad, like I was getting up 4 o'clock in the morning. My youngest girl, she was just over 2 years old, probably about 2 years and 3 months. So that was one of the toughest decisions I had to do, getting her up, getting them dressed. The two girls, I had to have them at daycare by 6 o'clock, and I was supposed to start work at 6 o'clock. And this is the beauty of our organisation. So I would drop them off at 6 o'clock because it's 6. The daycare didn't open at 6, and the three kids would go then, and then Dakota, he would get picked up and walked across to the school, the primary school. And so our journey started right back then. And the thing was, but I had a beautiful sister. 12 months later, she said, "No, Sam," said, "Look, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll come out to your place." So she would rock up at 5:30, so the kids were able to sleep in. I'd have breakfast or lunches made for them to take to school. When they got up, my sister would give them breakfast, get them dressed, and she would drop them off at daycare and at school. And that started right back in 2000, end of 2012, beginning of 2013. And once we got that system going, well, every year it got better because every year the kids grew up. They were able to take care of themselves. My sister still comes here every morning, still do the same thing. Like she was here this morning before I went to work. And mate, and because I do the week on, week off, so it only happens for a week. Then the week they go back to mum. It's my dad time where I get to go out, okay, rebuild the house, do what I need to do. But then I'm able to go out and act as a grown up. Go out and catch up with people at the pub, so to speak. And people say, because I'm not really a big drinker or drinker, so to speak. They said, "How can you go to the pub and not drink?" I said, "My choice." But I would go there just to talk to people.
Yeah, that's right.
Just to have a yarn with them and have
the local watering hole.
Yeah. And people loved it. And mate, I sort of come across a lot of people that were at their darkest time, I suppose. But I was able to give them a little bit of light and a little bit of hope by just sharing what was on my heart and what I was going through and what they needed to know. And I guess that's what my life's always been about, is sharing with people and yarning with people. Yeah, it's just in my blood, so to speak. Love it.
And if you didn't, I just have to give a shout out to your sister, because that's amazing support for her to do that. To get up at 5:30, or be there at 5, making sure they have to sleep in and be at the house, that's just beautiful to do that. And I guess if you just to put it on the other foot, as a hypothetical, if you didn't have your sister there to do that, what would you have done?
Mate, I would have had to change my work roster, and they would have catered for it. And I was lucky with the daycare, beautiful daycare called Kids at the Beach. I would drop them before I had my sister be safe for nearly 6-7 months. I was taking them to daycare, and so they were there, and they were beautiful. They looked at all the ladies, looked after my kids, and my son. What he would do, he would help them set up. They said, "Sam," said, "we used to love it when you drop your kids off, because Dakota would help set up all the chairs, all the tables for the other class, and then what they'd do, they'd give him something, give him whatever they had, and he would make something out of it." Because my son Dakota, he's a hands-on person, very inquisitive. Struggled at school. High school, he's doing exceptionally well, because what they've done, worked out how to teach him. Ask him a question, he'll tell them the answer, and that's how they work with him. He's a hands-on person. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. So I had always had something, but look, honestly, mate, without my sister, yes. But and that's the key thing. You got to have good support. You got to have good backup.
Yeah.
And
And I think that's
also got good support from my work.
Yeah, that's the important thing, Sam. With and there's a lot of fellas where they're having a good support structure at home, and it can be the sister, any family, even just a friend or neighbor or someone. But
yes,
especially being away, you got to have good support, and especially with my partner when I've gone away. We do the week on, week off, and when I'm back up on site, and we're lucky that we live next to only a couple of Ks for the in-laws. Her mum and dad are there, and they're good support for her. It's just amazing for her.
Yeah, and like Chris, one of the biggest things that I've learned on my journey, and we must acknowledge all the mums, the single mums, because those that have got the kids full time, 24/7, 365, 66 days a year, and that is still and got to work, mate. It's a hard gig. It's a tough gig.
Yeah.
And and part of my journey is because I've acknowledged the mums, and they said, "Oh, thank you." They said, "Oh, we wished our partners or ex-partners." I said, "Look," and I was called one day. They were calling me the super dad because when I used to go down and pick the kids up after work, and when I lived, I'd have a Nesky pack, and it would have poppers in it. I'd have popcorn made up in these 3 little bags, and and one would have butter with it. One would have icing sugar, the other would just have it plain. And because I had all this already set up, all the mums used to say, "Wow, we would never." They would go to McDonald's or what they would go, and here you are. Say for $5, I had a good meal for the kids, rather than cost me $25 going to McDonald's.
Yeah.
So I had things in place, and that was just something that I learned along the way. There's no written rule book or no what you do, what you got to do, what's right, what's wrong. It was something that I learned along the way.
Yeah.
And we just roll with it. And when the mums are starting to call me super dad, I said, "No, I'm not a super dad. I'm just a dad."
Yeah.
That's all it is. I'm just a dad.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I'm reaping the rewards now, because when I walk in the door of an afternoon like this afternoon, the 3 of them nearly knocked me over. I'm in my dirty clothes, but they want to hug us. They want to hug us. And every morning they said, "Daddy, we love you." Then if they hear me get up, one of them will get up, and I've got to make a Vitabris like I make my Vitabris, and say, "We sit down and have Vitabris for breakfast at 5:30 in the morning."
Yeah.
She'll go back to bed.
Yeah.
And the other one, the middle daughter, Siobhan, she come and got up and give me a hug this morning before I went to work, and that's what's special. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's crazy, like, you especially you were saying, like, they were like 2 years, 3 months, the little ones were there, and like it was obviously so long ago, but just remember what they look and smell, and how they were, and when you pick them up in the morning, are they going to fight you to get dressed before you get out, or they're going to be nice and smooth and go straight out, and you just and for them to see how they are, like you said, they'll come and greet you and things. It's just so beautiful. And especially when I come back home, that's the best bit. So tired, so cooked, but the next day, they'll come up and say, "Daddy," and jump on you, and I'm like, okay, it's good.
And even at the age now, my son's nearly 14.
Yeah,
he'll still want to come up and give me a hug and a kiss, and I love that. I love that, and I hope and I suppose I reflect back to my dad. My dad's been gone. This year will be 25 years. He was 64 when he passed away. He said to my mum, "I'll work one more year." Never made it. And so my son is a reminder of what I was like when I was his age. So I'm glad I was brought up by good parents. Both my parents are passed on.
Yeah.
But their legacy lives on in me, through me, and my legacy has been passed on to my 3 children.
Yeah. And I guess your amazing work ethic and the way how you carry yourself, and the amount of respect you do with people, and how you with your kids, that's the important thing that you're passing on, and how they treat people. It's and it's just beautiful. It is. So and what about the kids? Have they got and I know they're fairly young, and they're wondering, have they figured out what sort of career paths what they want to do? Any interests?
Siobhan, she wants to be a doctor. This little one here, this is a baby girl, Cheyenne.
Hi. Hi, Cheyenne.
What would you like to do when you grow up? She said she'd like to be a teacher.
Oh, good. Yeah, teacher.
Yeah. This is the one that was 2 years and 3 months.
Oh, that's that one. Yeah.
That's the one here.
Yeah.
So Chris, it's like I say, mate. We just roll. We do what we got to do. We do what we need to do, and we don't worry. We spend a lot of time with the family. Yeah. We go up the river. And, Uncle RG cooks and Auntie Karen. They swim in the river. Uncle RG cooks damper for them. So they get the boast of they get a lot of culture just by going out in the bush and just seeing things and just. So we got a good family that way.
Yeah, and I guess that's the most important thing too. Like, especially when you're working and consuming so much time doing all the work you do, all the downtime you have with your kids and taking them out bush. And once again, I was telling to Flo about this when we were talking a couple of weeks ago. Someone else, you talk about damper. I'm getting hungry now. One good girl was on here, Tina. I remember Tina. She brought this damper on. They're talking about damper, and I'm like, oh man, I want damper now. So thanks, Sam. Thanks for that. Another 2 weeks. This will go on.
Well, don't worry. The other day, I had all these ripe bananas. My sister said, hey, Auntie Beck, I said, can you give me the recipe Mum used to make the banana fritters?
Yeah.
Well, Chris, I made the biggest ever banana fritters, mashed on banana, and just like that, mate. I had tea for tea that night. I had nothing else. Because the kids with me, Mum. I had tea for tea that night and took the rest to work. And big, they were the size of plates, see? Big, good sized plates. And I smashed a whole lot of them myself at work. But it's just simple food, but it fills you up. Banana fritters there.
Yeah, we had to where our site is. It's up, out near Cooperpedia in South Australia. If anyone's been up that way, up near Cooperpedia, Opal Country, and so the family, they'll go get kangaroo. They'll get myrtle, or they'll get gibra, they'll get bush turkey, and they brought some camelback. So because of the family were dropping, there was a bus dropping people in. Yeah, they'll put the food on. It was like a curried camel, and they had some kangaroo like minced up and some curry, and they brought it in, and you bring it in the mess, and I don't tell none of the other blackfellas because I know I'm gonna tease them when I go into the crib room. And I had the curries and fresh bread, and I warmed it up, and them fellas walk in. I didn't say nothing. They smell it, and they come in. They're like, "Hey, what you got for lunch?" And I'm like, "It's here." and they all share. I'm always sharing with the fellas. And you got a nice chili chutney or something there, so it's good feeds.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, because when I was growing up, like I said, I lived at home with Mum and Dad, and it was more of a commitment when Dad passed away in '95. Well, I really said, no, I'm not leaving. I must look after your mum, and I did, because my mum, she's got 26 acres up Bootaloo. The Don River goes right past them, and I've taken over the years, mate. Heaps of kids have gone up the Auntie Oles, rode their motorbikes, had bonfires, cooked dampers, and all this stuff. So that place holds a big significance part of our lives. And because my 3 kids never got to meet Granddad, they met Grandma. Then the youngest girl, Cheyenne, we celebrate Mum's birthday 4th of September 2010. Cheyenne was born on the 6th of September 2010. Then Mum passed away on the 22nd of September 2010. But she got the nursing home, my baby girl. But the other 2, they loved Grandma. They knew who Grandma was, and so they spent a lot of time at the farm with Grandma. So that was and that's pretty special, man. That's pretty special.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, and that's sort of mean, like, and especially where a lot of the the old people are passing away. Like my mum's father passed away in late December. We had the funeral in January. And I was just happy that my kids, I've got a 5-year-old boy and a 22-month-old girl, and they met him, and they say Big Papa, Big Papa, and it was good. We spent a lot of time and went to go visit him out there, so it was really good. And I'm just happy that before he passed on, that they got to see who he was and knew who he was, which is good.
Yeah, and it's funny, Chris. Like, I talk to my kids about Grandma and Granddad, right? And as if they were here, and we'd be driving around, and they used to say to me, said, "Daddy, so we miss Grandma and Granddad." So because I've told them the stories about Grandma and Granddad, they could identify with us. Yeah, they could identify with it, and so in their own little mind, they would have this opinion, this picture of Grandma and Granddad, because I've got photos of Grandma and Granddad. And, and it's good because they identify with it, and especially the youngest one, like, she's the one that never really got the experience Grandma, but I believe my mum hung around just so that she could nurse that little girl and have that connection with that little girl, and that connection is still there today. And
now that's amazing, and I guess this and I guess in the industry, and this is what rolls into just especially supporting the women in the resource sector and all the areas. I guess what's and especially with your experience and what you've seen through the changes, what's probably the biggest thing that we could support, and any advice or what you've seen about championing the Indigenous women in these industries?
Well, mate, I've got a cousin and a niece that are out the mines now, truck driving, Lisa Yasso and Brittany Nickel. And it's when because Lisa was our cleaner out of work, and 2 years ago, she said, I want to go put my name down truck driver. Well, these girls, this is going on 2 years ago, they haven't looked back. And I am so proud of these girls because they proved to other people and just in our community, this is what you can achieve if you put your mind to it. And not only that, even just in trades and trades like this girl that I work with, Deanne Sleeman, and I said to Deanne, I said, do you realise, because her father's Dale O'Grady, I said, your daughter's Indigenous. She said, yes, she is. I said, now it's time for you to ask your daughter, push her in the direction that you like electrician or work in the mine industry. So she said, I will. I said, and that's what we need to do, just to encourage your children. Last year, I got a cousin that works at the high school, a boy called Greg Power. Now, he brought a heap of grade 10 students out, Indigenous boys. I think was about 10 of them came out. Yeah. So I was able to take them around our workshops and tell them this is what they can do if they put their mind to it. Knuckle down, do your hard work at school, get your grades up. Even if you're struggling, ask for help. And so they went away and they're quite motivated by that because I said to them, look, my schooling wasn't great as far as I had my pass as a grade 10. And then when I couldn't get a job, my mother went and made me go back to school, and I done grade 10 again. So I got 2 very good junior passes, and but all my stuff was I didn't do the top maths, or I just done your general maths. And but at the end of the day, look where I am today.
Yeah.
And that was just by persevering, and I think having the good people around you to push it, because I knew I could do it. Not every time I wanted to give up, the boss would say, "No, come here, you. You get back to pay. No, you can do it.
Yeah, we had this what you touched on about how some people weren't especially with these guys on AP Wildlands we had on our site, and he wasn't good at reading or writing. English was probably his second language. He's speaking all this language, but no, English was pretty good. But anyway, he needed to get his forklift ticket working in the core shed, and put him on the forklift. He was brilliant. He knew how to do it. He was fine. He was whipping in and out, did the whole the safety, but just how you did the paperwork and sit down with him, he could not comprehend that bit. It was really confusing to him. So they usually, if it was from if it was from anyone else, they would have actually had to get the person down to the training center and sit him down, have a supervisor sit down with him and make sure he wasn't cheating. But they brought a trainer out who was actually quite accommodating and sat down with him and actually talked with him through it, because he knew that he could operate the machine. It was just a matter of, okay, well, if you got your counterweight here, you put your tines here, you're sitting down, how do you look and judge? And, he was fine. He drilled it. I guess it's just teaching people in a different way, not,
Yes.
Yeah, because people learn differently.
And I think the industry now, right across the board, like the classic example like I shared about before with my son, when he left primary school, they said to me, Dakota's only up to grade 2, grade 3 standard. Look, and as a dad, I was really gutted. See, anyway, because I was hurt, and then he goes to high school, gets to high school, grade 7 in the first couple of months now, high school or D, got all D's. And then anyway, and I went to one of the meetings one day and I spoke to the deputy principal, Mr. Butwell. Mr. Butwell said, I didn't get Dakota's grades, school reports for the end of grade 7. He said, I'll send them out to you. And he said to me, I said, how's Dakota's going? He said, Sam, it's like this. He said, I have kids that struggle. And so he said, they're on my radar. He said, Dakota's not even on my radar. And Chris, when I look at his report, after I eventually got Mr. Butler said, I'll send you the report. Well, that kid went from D's and he was getting C's and B's. And when I looked in, they said, Sam, we work out how to teach him. Ask him a question, he'll tell you the answers. He'll tell you the answer straight off his head. He just can't put it down on paper.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. Yeah. So he's like me, I suppose. He's a hands-on person.
Yeah.
Like he's actually in his room now building this. He made this little submarine out of a remote control helicopter parts. Now, before they shut the pool down, he made this little sub, and all these backpackers are at our local swimming pool. See? Anyway, this thing's going around the water, and I said, Dakota, how do you? And it's made out of soft drink bottles. And I said, how do you switch it on? And he got this thing in the middle of the thing with the undone the screw cap in his Coke bottle, and there's a little tiny little switch there that he got from somewhere. Flicked it on, flicked it off, and just mate, if I can find a photo, I videoed something, but I don't know where I put it. It might blow your mind.
I would love to see that. I want to see that. That is so good.
And all these backpacker girls, they were just watching, swimming around with my kid, and they were just amazed. And I said, look, mate, I can't tell you how he done it or what he does.
Yeah,
that's just him, you know. So he's a kid that's thinking, and these are the kind of kids that we got to, and everybody says to me, you got to nurture this kid because, he's your up and coming engineer in some kind of way. I don't know how, but he's just got a head. He thinks outside the square, outside the box. Yeah, and and I reckon there'll be a lot more kids around here like him, Indigenous kids that, you got to know how to teach them. You got to know how to approach them.
Yeah, that's right.
And just encourage them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them where, and I guess that's the thing. Some people learn differently. I guess talking to them or even asking the questions, or even maybe pull them aside and just doing it in a different setting or an environment. Some people are just quite shame, but and you'll figure out that they do something quite crazy. Like if you got this fella making submarines, out of helicopter parts, man, like that's an engineer there waiting,
Yes.
Well, he's already an engineer. He's already doing it.
Yes. Yeah. And talking about engineers, like there's another. Hopefully you get to meet him one day. A bloke called Mark Hennaway. Now, this Mark Hennaway, he is your first, and I've seen a write up about him, first Indigenous electrical engineer in Australia. Now, this Mark Hennaway, he's actually designing roads because he started as an electrician in the main roads in Queensland, down in Brisbane. And then he went away and got a degree. Now he's designing roads where you can put these driverless cars on. And so he's been working down in Melbourne. So, a bloke called Mark Hennaway. You can Google his name and try and find. And he's...
I'll note that actually, Mark Hennaway. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. If you can get a hold of him, mate, and get him to talk on your program because, mate, he's a cousin of mine. He's absolutely amazing and unreal. It just goes to show that... mate. We got some good people out there, family, and just like even blokes like yourself, mate. Good to see, good to talk to you. I'm glad I got to meet you, and glad I got to meet Flo. Things like that, mate. Sharing our knowledge and sharing our stories and having the yarn. Hopefully, that other people get to watch us and be encouraged by it. Because the world's a big place, and mate, there's room for everybody, and room for and especially if people want to step up and have a go, step up and have a go because there's a lot of job opportunities out there for our kids.
And there's so many fellas like we did the same where, because I work in community relations where we're on our sites, and you're dealing with these Indigenous kids up in Cooper Pedy, and and there's a lot of kids where they're exactly the same as your son, where, they wouldn't be, there's a couple of fellas where they just don't want to go in school. But once you talk to them and figure out, they just were so switched on because people just weren't asking the right questions, or someone was people just had the perception where they think, oh, this kid's not coming to school because he's dumb. And I was like, no, did you ever consider that, there's probably alcohol going on at home and there's 6-7 people drinking till 1 o'clock in the morning and he can't do his homework, and then maybe these kids would go like, well, I'm not bothering with school now, and I'm just going to go walk around the streets, and the police pick them up, and it's just a cycle that goes around. And you're harboring these kids' talents where, there is an engineer or, someone next that's going to build these, these cars in the road for these electrical mob like Mark,
Yes. Yeah, mate. Yeah. Look, mate, and I'm so encouraged by like with Flo's program, because hopefully that, like I said, and that's for the girls too, Indigenous girls too, mate, because like I was listening to that girl last night talk about the treating the water. See, okay, I'll tell you another little story about part of my job. I was a pollution operator, so any wash down water, any diesels, any oils that we spilt went back to this black waste well. And because we all know that oil floats on water. So I would skim the oil up, I'd skim the diesel up. And sometimes the bloke would come down from MQ Resources and he said, Sam, I'd skim off 3,000 litres of diesel. He said, I can take this, and he'd come down, he might pick up 15,000 litres after a couple of months. He said, Sam, I could take this furnace, this oil here, instead of taking it back to Townsend to get it cleaned. He said, what you've done with your job by skimming it, I could take it to the mill, to the power station up at Collinsville. They sell it there for 90 cents a litre to fire up the power stations on a Monday morning. And just because I've done my job right as a pollution operator, skim the oil off, and then once I got the oil, I put the water into it, mix my chemicals with it to create a flock, and the flock would drop all the solids out of it into the bottom, so you'd have clean water. So I drain the rubbish off the bottom into drying beds. And the clean water I put out in the paddock, and to make sure it was oxygenated, had oxygen in it, and things like that. So and take your pH, and it was all done. So put it out in the paddock. So that was part of my job. So, and I was only self-taught through that, thrown in the deep end. That's your job. You go down the back and do it. And I had another old fellow there that taught me through it, showed me how to do it, and mate, I took to it like a duck to water, so to speak, and loved it. And I'm very passionate about my water. And how it works, So I was a pollution operator too, so So my job just didn't, And so I love that girl that was talking about that Flo had on last night. Amazing. So, stuff like that is part of my job too.
Yeah, and especially while this isolation's going, and some people are, sitting at home and they're watching this, and and especially with Flo getting all these amazing people like yourself and the lady they had last night is just sharing all these amazing stories, and like I've learned so much from you just listening to the conversation and stuff that you're sharing with me, and it's just amazing to there's all these amazing black fellas all around here. They've got all these deadly stories, and and your kids get to have all this amazing energy from you, and and this all this stuff you can still teach all these other people around, so it's so deadly, man. It's good.
Thanks, Chris. Because one of the biggest things too, like my mum was the eldest out of 13 kids. Okay, my mum passed away in 2010, and we lost one of her brothers back in 96, Uncle George, and he was 46 when he died. So that was two of the family members that had passed away by 2010. And then just a few years later, we had another brother pass away. And then right up until last year, out of the 13 brothers and sisters, there's only 6 left. So what we've done, we started the thing before the coronavirus sort of hit us. Every month, once a month, we'd have a family get-together with everybody here in Bowen. And have a Saturday night, and my cousin RG, he would cook up a feed or whatever he bought. If we had a feed, we'd bring it together, we share it, and we got together. And you'll go a lot of on my Facebook page, you'll see family gatherings. And what it was, we'd bring our families together, and a lot of times, sometimes it'd have me kids, and sometimes it would have it worked out. I wouldn't have my kids, but when my kids were there, they got to meet their cousins.
Yeah.
Now, my daughter said to me one day, she said, "Daddy, how many cousins have I got?" I said, "Honey, there's 65 of us. There's 65 of us cousins, just on my mum's family, 65 of us." I said, "Darling, if each of us had 2 kids each, that's 130 cousins that you got, but there's more than that."
Yeah, that's right. So yeah.
I tell everybody, so we haven't got a family tree, we've got a family forest.
Yeah, exactly.
And all descendants of Jack and Topsy Yassay. Jack and Tops, and this one immediate family, Jack and Tops. Yeah, so mate, our family is huge, huge, and you know, and my kids are a part of it because my mum was the eldest. She was like the matriarch of the family. Basically, whatever she said, that was law. That was boss. She was the boss.
Yes.
Yeah. So my kids have got they got that. They're well respected, and I tell them too. I said, you must behave. You've been bought. You've got good grandparents, and so they do. They do. Yeah, and your kids are only as good as what you teach them.
Yeah. No, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess and you know, just all the stuff that you're doing, like what do you do on your downtime? You know, I know with your kids, but what does Sam, what's your hobbies? You know, what is the stuff that you like to get done?
Well, okay, when I was growing up, before I loved fixing things. Or I'd go up the farm and get the slasher out, and I'd go sit on the tractor, slash grass. Love it. Just cleaned up around the property for mum and dad. And then lately, we get a lot of pallets at work. I've been making tables for just playing around with timber. And my son, he gets the benefit of that. So he comes out, or the girls will come out. So my downtime is making things, with timber, or get the welder out and weld something up. And make something, and I get more kick out of that there, just relaxing. That's my downtime.
Yeah.
Or with me and the kids, we'll go to the swimming pool. We spend a lot of time at the pool, just relaxing, just chilling out, and mate, and you get to meet a lot of other kids, a lot of other families there, and that's my most important. Then get to go up the river and just sit down and have a light of fire and cook a damper and just sit on the side of the river bank and go up there in our trucks and just chill out and do absolutely nothing.
Yep.
But just relax.
Yeah, that's the thing is, that's what you need to do. Like you have to have that, like, and especially doing like the rostered times. Like when I get that, I always say to someone, when you're going R&R, I said, "Oh, no, good to go," and I said, "Forget about this place." Like just forget it for that week and don't even worry about it. Just go have fun and for myself, like me, I love fishing. I love and while there's restrictions going on here, like in Victoria, you still can't do it. You can't go out fishing or camping. And my son, I was always take him when I go, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, can we go fishing?" And I'm like, like I would love to. I'm like, I would love to. Like the rod's already rigged up, and and then all the time, we all have to stay home, and it's good with the family. It's like all these lovely days too, like all these beautiful, nice days. Yeah. So. And it's good though.
Yeah, I'm sort of lucky because the fish tend to come to me because all the boys that they go out and fish, they said, "Hey, Uncle, we'll bring you some fish around." So they're dropping fish off at my place. I don't have to put it away.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. You don't even have to touch any baits or nothing.
But my son wants to go fishing, so that's our next once every get him rods and all that sort of stuff. And things like that. And my kids, though. Where we live in Bowen, we're surrounded by salt water, so to speak. But they'll jump on these on these scooters or the rollerblades up, and we live about three k's from the front beach, and they'll skate all the way on the rollerblades back to my place.
Yeah,
and things like, and we'll do that at night. The police pulled us up one night, and Michelle Vico, and she said, "Sam, I love what you do with your kids. They watch it. So people watch us. They watch it." And I said to my kids, I said, "Always remember," I said, "your dad's well known in the community. There's always someone." So I said, if you're out and about by yourself, don't be silly. Always be respectful. I said, because someone's watching you and your dad will find out.
Always.
Yeah.
Now, I just got a question just on the side here, Sam. I guess one of them is on how about celebrating NAIDOC? What does your company do? What do they do for NAIDOC?
Okay, now last year and we went in, and my cousin RG, well, he was supposed to cook damper, but he got called away. So my boss, they said, "Sam, will you go in?" So I went in, and then they cooked damper. Had my other cousin, she was there. She made it all up. We showed them how to cook it. We showed them how to cook it, and they made damper at the Bowen State High School last year. Yeah, and it's good because I was able to share with my son.
Here's my son here. Come here. No, I can't.
Daddy,
Where, Mum? Yeah.
Daddy.
Here,
You just used to say you finished the game.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It was all the way at the end. Okay,
Come
bye.
here.
Bye.
Yeah, come here, say hello. Look, this is my son here. Look.
G'day, how you going?
So what's his name there? Can you read his name there? No, he's done. There, what's his name?
Come in.
You can say
Yeah,
hello.
yeah.
No, I don't know
Look.
what his name is.
See, look. You can say hello there. Say hello. Hi.
G'day. Hey, this is my daughter Siobhan
Hi, Siobhan.
and my daughter, big son Dakota.
Hi.
Dakota, see? No, he's gone now.
Hey, good, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. Nah, so I mean, this is what it's about, families, mate. Eh?
Yeah, and that's what it is. Yeah, he was excited telling me he was playing this game and he's excited. And usually I sit down with him and he's like, "Yeah, no, I'll be there in a minute." Yeah.
Yeah. So I got. And I was so glad I went, and because they usually have native down the front beach, but it's so good that our company is really starting to embrace it now and take it on board. And then so I went to the high school. Then later on, my cousin RG done a cook up for him at work, and showed him how he does the Cup Murray, and they loved it. And yeah, so hopefully we can do it again this year and go from there, because now that Aurizon's really coming on board and embracing it, it's really starting to show. And yeah, so things are happening, mate, and happen very fast. And I'm proud, and I'm glad that when I do go to retire, hopefully we'll have some more Indigenous kids there that'll take on the mantle too, so to speak.
Yeah, passing on the torch, Sam.
Yes, mate. Yes, because them old fellas that have passed the torch on to me, I need to pass it on to someone else now. And I don't want to leave till I'm happy that they've got someone there to take it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need that. We need to have a voice. We need to have a voice. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, that's and we're just just seeing if there's any other questions here. I think that's pretty good. I'll just give a little shout out here. I guess Michelle.
Yes.
Yeah, Michelle Adams there. Hello. Yeah. How you doing? Thanks for being on there. Joshua George, how you doing? There's some lady named Florence Drummond. I don't know. I think we might have to get that person. Always putting these random questions. We'll see if we can get a band there, Sam. So yeah. And we've got Lara Smith.
Tell us sorry for gate crashing the show. I see boys taking over, right?
Yeah. No, Lara Smith there, Corroba. Yeah. How you doing? That's good. So that's good. Thanks for tuning in, you fellas. And I guess, because we're almost coming up to the show here, Sam, I guess what's one last thing you want to leave, a bit of word of advice, or, leave a quote or something you'd want to leave the show with, you reckon?
I say to everyone, young or old, believe in yourself and have a go. Never give up. And if you give it an opportunity, take it and run with it. And look, mate, the world is your oyster. And you just got to believe in yourself, and you can do it. Look at me. Look at my 38 years in the job. It's only for something that started off to be only 2 weeks' work. 4th of June this year, I will have completed 38 years. I was picking apples in the orchards down in Orange in New South Wales. Came home from 21st, turned 21 on the 10th of June 1982. Now, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. And I was born in 84 when you were telling me before, and I was like, wow, that's crazy,
Yeah, so. Yeah, mate. And like I said, mate, and my kids keep me young. They're the only 3 kids I've got. They keep me young. And look, you are who you are, and be proud of who you are. Be proud of who you are. And embrace the culture. Embrace the culture, and if you give it an opportunity, take it and hold on to it with both hands.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure people who have been watching this, and later on when it gets put on the IWIMRA's Facebook page, a lot of other fellas will catch up and look at it and just be inspiring, just to have a listen to you, Sam. And just thank Flo for just allowing us to talk on this platform, for us to have a yarn. Yeah, and this is not going to be the last time me and you will yarn off this anyway, and we'll have a catch up. And
thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
Yep, no worries. And thanks, Flo. Thanks for the follows. And Sam, appreciate it. Got a beautiful family. And I do want to see photos of that submarine. You got to show me.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
I
I'm
will
very
do.
interested in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No worries.
Okay,
Well,
mate,
you
cheers,
have
mate.
have a good night.
Right.
And as Flo says, stay safe and stay deadly.
Yes, mate. Stay safe, stay deadly. Peace, mate.
No worries.
Cheers. Goodbye.
Have a good night, Sam. Catch us.
Good day. Bye. Yeah.